Are you looking for the best way to save for your child's future? Do you, like me, want to give your kids a financial head start when they turn 18? Maybe for university, maybe for a house deposit, and put them on the road to their first million and financial freedom? Then a junior ISA could well be the answer. Did you know that 1.2 million junior ISAs have been opened since inception, with over 9 billion invested or saved to date? Of these, about 700,000 are cash ISAs, and the remainder are share ISAs. And unbelievably, in the last assessment, the biggest 50 junior ISAs in the UK averaged a whopping £761,000. To put this into context, £761,000 with a 5% annual return, net of charges, would grow to £1 million in just 5.5 years without any further contributions. What's more, over 370 junior ISAs have topped £200,000, with more than 2,000 being above £100,000 now. And of course, that all sounds great, but let's take a look at how these sorts of amounts can be attained and my daughter's impressions of her junior ISA. Also, let's go over what a junior ISA is in its broadest context. So let's do a quick fly through of what exactly a junior ISA is. Put simply, a junior ISA is a long-term tax-free saving account for children living in the UK. The money in a junior ISA belongs to the child, and they can only access it when they turn 18. I'll come on to that more in a moment. Until then, parent or guardian manages the account. There are two types of junior ISAs, cash ISAs and shares ISAs, or stocks and shares ISAs. With a cash ISA, your money is held in a savings account and you earn interest tax-free. With a stocks and share junior ISA, your money is invested in the stock market with a potential for higher returns, but also a greater risk of losing the money. Now, my daughter, Annabelle, has a stocks and shares ISA, which is invested in a passive global index tracker with Vanguard. But we'll come on to that in a moment. So let's flip to the pros and cons of junior ISAs before getting Annabelle's impressions on her junior ISA and how that's set up. Starting with the pros. As mentioned, junior ISAs are tax efficient. All growth in junior ISAs is tax-free. It's a great financial head start. It provides significant financial boost for your child when they reach 18. It's really flexible. You can choose between cash or stocks and shares, or even have both. And it's accessible. Anyone can contribute to a junior ISA. Moving on to the cons. There is a lock-in period. The money is locked away until your child turns 18. And frankly, there's limited control once they turn 18. They have complete control over the money, regardless of your intentions for it. Why don't we check in with Annabelle and ask her a couple of questions about her junior ISA, get her impressions on what she thinks. Annabelle, we talked a bit about the junior ISA we've got set up for you and how that works. Do you remember what we said?
Yes, you said to me that you're going to put a little bit of money per year for me when I'm 18 to earn all that money that you put on my account, let's say.
Yeah, and what would you use it for, do you think?
If I go to university, I would use it for university money, or if I want to buy a car in the future, and if I want to get a house.
A deposit for a house, yeah. Because I don't think we'll have enough saved up for a full house.
Yeah.
Deposit. We talked a bit about the investment itself was in something. Remember? Yeah. What was the investment? How did the investment work?
It worked by you giving me a little bit of money per year, and then that money that you not saved up, but put in my account, is going to that account, and then I am earning that money to when I am 18.
That's right.
So all that years that come up, you're giving me a little bit of money and then putting it into that account.
That's right. And the money that goes in there, it's invested, isn't it? Can you remember how it's invested and what you buy with that money and what you own? It buys bits of companies. What do you think of that?
I'm glad but like it's also weird to feel like that way because it feels like you're gonna own the shop, but it's only a little bit. So that's what's making me also glad about it. And the good thing is that those companies are doing so far really well. So as I go on, they're gonna give me more money and more money as they get better.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can you remember me telling you which companies, for instance, that you own a small part of?
You did say Microsoft, Apple, and Tesla.
Yeah, but also lots of others because it's a diversified.
But that's the main ones that you told me about.
Yeah, that's right. So how does it feel that when you look around and you see companies, you think, oh, I own a little bit of that?
It feels weird because it feels like I'm owning it and I'm just like, oh, maybe one day I can get it.
So any ideas what you might do with the money in the end? Do you think it will be a car or university, or doesn't that matter at the moment?
I don't know. It might be for maybe my house, it might be for cars, and it might be for my job a little bit.
Oh, could be. Yeah, good to support you in your job as well. Makes sense. Is there anything else you want to say about the junior ISA?
Well, I'm very glad about it. I'm very happy about it. Do you have any more questions to ask about it to me?
No, I think that's good. Thank you. So now I want to run a few numbers to see the benefits of this generous tax-efficient savings scheme for kids. So I'm using a simple compound interest calculator. In this example, we're using the full junior ISA allocation, £9,000 initial balance, 18-year period, investing, 5-year interest rate, and 9,000 added on an annual basis. And you'll see that the total final balance is 278,000. Interestingly, the interest paid with that 5% gives 107,000, which is a really large proportion of that end balance. Now, I use the 5% interest rate because that's what you can broadly get on instant access or savings accounts currently. In this second example, I've been more optimistic, certainly in the interest rate. So you can see it's at 9% here. If it is a stocks and share ISA, in more recent times, 9% has not been out of kilter with the returns most people have been getting in a globally diversified fund or an S&P fund. But using that assumption, then the final balance is 431,000 after 18 years. You can see a large proportion of that final balance is made up of interest of 260,000. Now, I wouldn't naturally use this interest rate as an assumption. The next example is probably closer to what I would normally use. In this next example, which I think is closer to reality of a stocks and shares ISA, I've used 7.5% as the interest rate. Still over 18 years, and what we get is £363,000, almost £364,000 final balance. Again, interest making up more than half of that value in total. And the final balance, the £364,000, and use that and enter that into another compound interest calculator, assuming that the child at 18 retains the money, doesn't do anything with it, and just leaves it to grow over a number of years. Let's see how long it takes for them to become millionaires. So here we are. I've taken that £364,000, put that in as the initial balance, 7.5% return, no additional contributions. And what I've looked for is how many years would it take to achieve a final balance of over 1 million. And that's exactly 14 years. You can see again, the large proportion of that is made up from interest rather than the capital that you put into the ISA. Now taking some figures that are probably more realistic for most people. Initial balance of £200, investing £200 every month for 18 years with a 5% interest. That gives us over £70,000, £26,000 of that interest payment. Taking that same example of £200 a month invested for 18 years, I'm just now going to use a 7.5% interest rate. Again, reasonable for a stocks and shares ISA. You can see the final balance at 18 is 91,000, almost 92,000. half of which is made up of interest. Now here's where the magic happens. I've taken that 91,000, put that into the initial balance, and then said, okay, if I add £200 a month, how many years before I reach £1 million? And it's 29 years. But look at the interest. Almost £900,000 of that is interest. And the final example, let's say it's only £50 a month that's invested over a 13-year period rather than 18 at 7.5%. We're still coming out with over £13,000 as the final balance. Imagine what that will do for your child when it comes to university expenses or their first car, or even going towards a deposit for a flat or an apartment or a house. Finding the best junior ISA can be quite tough. There's many companies that provide different types of junior ISAs, the savings and the stocks and shares junior ISAs. Let's start with the savings junior ISA. This list provided by Money for the Masses. I'll put the link below to Money to the Masses, but you can see from the list that the best return that you're getting is 5.49% from Bath Building Society, and that's a cash or savings ISA. And again, there are many providers for the stocks and shares junior ISA. This list again from Money for the Masses covers a number of those providers. The list will be in the description below, but it is quite long. But the one that jumps out to me is Hargreaves Lansdown. There's no charge for junior accounts and nil charges for trading on funds or shares. So that seems a good starter and good offer. So what do we do? What do I do with my daughter Annabelle? Well, we hold the junior ISA with Vanguard. It's invested in their FTSE Global All Cap Index Fund, the accumulation version. It's a passive fund, which is also with Vanguard. It's a well-diversified fund with over 7,000 company shares across the globe. I intend to fill out a junior ISA allowance early every tax year and leave the money in the fund to accumulate over time. Whilst not everyone will be happy to expose their child's future to the kind of volatility involved in single company shares, especially if they're not experienced investors themselves, the diversification of a fund or an ETF, especially if it's globally diversified, can help spread the risk, especially as it's over hundreds of stocks and across different regions and sectors. And there's then an opportunity for that to grow with your child's junior ISA and grow her wealth or their wealth over the long term. So there you have it. Junior ISAs can be a great way to save for your child's future, but it's important to weigh the pros and cons carefully before deciding. I particularly had to weigh up the concept and the consideration that Annabelle would get access to that money at 18, regardless of my opinions and my thoughts on how she might consider spending that money. I get around this by trying to teach Annabelle information and give her understanding of financial literacy, which I cover in this video here. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you go here, you'll see a video where my daughter and I battle it out to see who wins the most from the £50,000 invested in premium bonds each. And if you have any questions or comments around junior ISAs, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Please subscribe to be advised of any future videos. Thanks for watching.